The state of New York reliably blue, and its 29 electoral votes stays with Hillary Clinton. North Dakota, Trump. To go with it, South Dakota, Trump. In the Rockies, Wyoming, 3 electoral votes, Trump. Look at our bar graph and look at the only numbers that really matter tonight, and that is the race to 270. And right now, Donald Trump is leading
by the powers that be, whether they are politicians or the media.
I accept your nomination for President of the United States.
Larger than the Republican Party. In fact, his nomination was the hostile takeover of the Republican Party. In this case, the Republican Party is just a vehicle to get his name on the ballot, but his reach was always greater than the Republican Party's reach.
This is a time of change for America, and it's a time to take stock and reaffirm the values that we hold as America.
As the time zones head from east to west, projection, New Mexico is going to Hillary Clinton. Remember the hubbub when Donald Trump showed up in New Mexico a few days before.
Our convention occurs at a moment of crisis for our nation. The attacks on our police and the terrorism our cities threaten our very way of life.
You call women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account
only Rosie O'Donnell.
Donald Trump will be the winner in Missouri. 10 electoral votes. Another piece in the Midwest and another patch of red. The race to 270 looks like this: 150, 109.
There's a guy totally disruptive, throwing punches. I love the old days. You know what they used to do to guys like that when they were in a place like this? They'd be carried out on a stretcher, folks. Like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you. That's true.
We have a major call coming out of the vote. We'll try to get it up there, and it is Ohio. Donald Trump.
Thank you all very much.
I will gladly lend you my body.
Why did you say you touched
Why don't y'all ask Bill Clinton that? Why don't y'all go ask Bill Clinton that? Go ahead and ask Hillary as well.
168, 109 in the race to 270. Here's where it looks like, this is where it looks like as a color filling in the red.
I was viciously attacked by Mr. Khan at the Democratic Convention.
If she was standing there, she had nothing to say. She probably, maybe she wasn't allowed to have anything to say. You tell me, but plenty of people have written that.
Who does not know me viciously attacked me from the stage of the DNC. It is now all over TV doing the same. Nice.
We have another projection, and that is that in the state of Colorado, when all the votes are counted, Hillary Clinton will pick up 9 electoral votes there. As we look at the race to 270.
Clearly an advantage for Secretary Clinton.
Take a look here. If Donald Trump wins tonight, no matter who they voted for, take a look at these numbers here. 21% say they'll be concerned. 37% say they'll be scared.
This is what both candidates want. They want to be living there starting January 20th of next year. Florida has been going back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah,
just changed again. It's only 11,000 vote lead just now. It changed.
Math on your feet. I like this.
The Empire State Building in New York City. Take a look at our running tally, the electoral vote. Anderson, this night is turning out to be a real nail-biter.
All along the
Going into this night, where do we stand?
This is where we stood coming into the night. 268 to 204. So clearly an advantage for Secretary Clinton.
Take a look here. If Donald Trump wins tonight, no matter who they voted for, take a look at these numbers here. 21% say they'll be concerned. 37% say they'll be scared.
This is what both candidates want. They want to be living there starting January 20th of next year. Florida has been going back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah,
just changed again. It's only 11,000 vote lead just now. It changed.
Math on your feet. I like this.
The Empire State Building in New York City. Take a look at our running tally, the electoral vote. Anderson, this night is turning out to be a real nail-biter.
All along, the Trump convention has been saying that Florida's must win for them. And I mean,
They can't win without it.
Donald Trump will carry the state of Florida.
You know, I'm guessing that the people in Brooklyn, I can see their fingers
That's
probably.
Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, fingers probably bleeding because there's no more nail to bite.
I wouldn't call anything encouraging for Hillary Clinton at the moment, to be honest with you, my friend.
Wolf, the scene here is so
so different than it was a few hours ago when people were happy and relaxed. I have been looking around the room at people who are stone-faced. Some of them have been crying.
This was a white lash against a changing country. It was a white lash against a black president.
This is the people rising up saying it's time to listen to us. It's time to listen to us in Michigan and Wisconsin and work for the people.
Hillary Clinton has called Donald Trump to concede the race.
Somebody criticized me the other day because they asked me what I do, and I said, I'm going to bomb the shit out of them. It's true. I don't care. I don't care. It got to be stopped.
This is a historic night. The American people have spoken, and the American people have elected their new champion. America has elected a new president, and it's almost hard for me to express the honor that I and my family feel that we will have the privilege to serve as your Vice President of the United States.
Will celebrate Hillary Clinton becoming the first female president, and now they're confronting the reality that they could be walking out of here, perhaps expecting that Donald Trump is going to become president.
Everybody should head home. You should get some sleep. And I want every person across the country who supported Hillary to know that your voices and your enthusiasm mean so much to her and to Kim and to all of us. You are in all of our hearts. Thank you.
Expected to end this election night with a huge historic win for women.
I have a 2-year-old niece, and today brought her into the election booth, and we voted for an American president that happened to be a female. I hope in her lifetime we'll have a female president.
With a Republican majority projected in the House and the Senate as well, many Democrats are now looking for what comes next for them.
It's so hard to believe that the country is as divided in such a severe way. In such a severe way.
Clinton is expected to speak later today, but no word yet as to when. We're live from the Peninsula Hotel in Midtown. Holly Ballard for CBS 2 News.
Have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't do it.
Podesta, who asked the folks out in the Javits Convention Center to go home, and that he had a message from Hillary Clinton.
Your voices and your enthusiasm mean so much to her and to Kim and to all of us. We are so proud of you. And we are so proud of her.
We are going to drain the swamp.
She is not done yet.
We're going to drain the swamp.
While the announcement meant it was time to go home, then leave the Jacob Javits Convention Center, only about 2 miles from where Donald Trump was holding his victory party. Clinton supporters had long faces and a lot to worry about as the results came in last night. Losing Florida was a major loss, even though they thought Miami-Dade and Broward County, the turnout there was impressive. It was not enough to change the vote count in the state of Florida, and as more vote tallies came in, Clinton supporters realized it was not going to be their night.
Pennsylvania voters just don't explain that other than the fact that maybe we weren't ready for a woman yet.
It might be that.
I think that there were some people who were not ready for a woman president. I think there were some.
You're awake, by the way. You're not having a terrible, terrible dream. Also, you're not dead and you haven't gone to hell. This is your life now. This is our election now. This is us. This is our country.
This is a different Earth today than it was 24 hours ago. It's a different place. It just is different.
Hard to understand for the folks in that room. They're still trying to come to grips with the fact that Hillary Clinton has lost this election and Donald Trump is the president-elect.
Overwhelmingly here in Pennsylvania.
Dear Mr. Trump, I hope you are having an absolutely terrible day. But that is beside me. I just wanted to ask you what you would say to this 7th grade girl, considering you tend to call women and girls pigs. So, now as president, you have to represent me, right? I don't feel represented. I feel afraid and insulted. I think it is very unpresidential to offend half the population. Since you won the election running on fake policies and insulting people, when I run for president in 23 years, should I use those same techniques? Because that really seemed to work. How do you justify what you say to people? How do you not want to say, I'm sorry, multiplied by millions when you speak? I wonder if you forgot about kindness. Or maybe this is all a game and you're just playing everybody. What do you see when you look in the mirror? Do you see a person who makes racist statements that hurt millions? Do you see a person whose ideas are so irrational and fear-mongering that they bring out the worst in some people? Do you see a president who knows he cannot lead this country but wanted to try because he thought it was a popularity contest? Do you see a white Wall Street banker who won his fame by insulting people? I do. And I see that wannabe pompadour too. And I know I shouldn't be worried for myself, because as a privileged white girl, I won't be as affected as others. But you know what? My values are assaulted, and the way I believe we should treat each other looks nothing like your way. I don't want to live in a world where your ideas win. So thanks. For nothing. Worst wishes, Lily. Problems are problems. Some people work with problems, and some people don't. Some people think about problems, and some people don't. Some don't even know that problems are problems. Like all the people who put making money before the health of the earth. Like all the people who don't believe in global warming. Some people know the problems are problems, but they won't talk about them. Like an elephant in the room. Some people know the problems are problems, but they won't talk about them. Like an elephant in the room. Like how black people are being treated by police officers, and how regular citizens post hateful notes for their neighbors. Some people know the problems are problems, but don't care. Like wealthier people paying lower taxes, and poor people paying higher taxes.
even though they have less money. Or like women making less money than men for the same work because people think women are worth less than men. Some people know about the problems and they try to help, but after they make a mistake and can't fix it, they give up. I think these problems need to be discussed. People need to not give up. I just want people to think about what I'm saying, think about how my problems could be fixed, not just by America, but the world, if we work to solve them together. Just think about it.
Things are gonna get easier. Ooh, child, things will be brighter. Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. Ooh, child, things will get brighter. Put it together and we'll get it all done. Someday when your head is much lighter. Someday, yeah, we'll walk in the rays of a beautiful song. Someday when the world is much brighter. Things are gonna get easier. Ooh, child, things will be brighter. Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. Ooh, things will be brighter. Put it together and we'll get it all done. Someday when your head is much lighter.
and not expect protesters outside? Why are we making women want to shut themselves inside and not reach out for help? Why should she be blamed for trying to protect herself? You're full of sin today. Turn to Christ today. Maybe, just maybe, there's another way to go about this. Maybe instead of protesting, you can ask about faith in a different way, other than shunning. Look, I know the idea of a woman being in trouble for her whole life seems crazy to you. Don't worry, I got it on my own. On my own is what most of these women are. We have no right to judge why. Many need the help but can't afford the expenses, but this country seems to think it's something not important. When in school, she was taught abstinence, but bodies and minds and relationships are more powerful sometimes, and it's not her fault that life didn't want to cooperate, but she's here now and you can't deny. That's mature, sense of responsibility. How dare you tell me that birth control is not a right when you will never know what it feels like? No empathy for any women or any of their families. Contrary to popular belief, no, we all don't want to kill babies. It's not about babies or murdering, as you like to call it per se. It's about a woman and her choice.
But no, let's just complicate things. There's different perspectives and characteristics. A 14-year-old wants pills for her cramps. A 16-year-old just wants to be safe. Many receive cancer screening, say that's not killing babies, but that's the stereotype we like to create. Very few are there simply because the condom breaks. I think that we have waited long enough for these reproductive rights. And you may be annoyed at the protests, as you say, riots, because women are not just dogs you can tell, sit down, be quiet, we will fight for this. And may I remind you that not only women step foot into these buildings. So, if you're really against all services of Planned Parenthood, you're wrong to shame women on these things when men go in there to do the same things. But here you stand, twisting hymns into your own meaning. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. These words were not meant for you to oppress others, I say, and the sound of Amazing Grace would be sweeter if I had it my way. Was blind, but now I see. If only you could see it as clearly. Because finally, after years of oppression, I think it's time that we allow women the treatment and care that they deserve instead of treating sex like a punishment, something that's wrong to crave. Now, I know you think that I'm some crazy feminist, but it's not like that. I'm not crazy. I just think it's scary that there's a mob outside the one place that was caring, that I have to be wary simply walking to my car and minding my own business. When in any other situation, these men would gladly catcall me.
You fail to see past the windows of people and their decisions into their heart and character. You would gladly cause violence and shoot someone who wasn't ready to be a mother. To each his or her own choice. To each his or her own life. But it's not just me saying this, it's the science. Don't freak out on my Facebook posts when you keep denying it. I understand the topic is hefty, but you have to understand what undermines it. I hope when I have a daughter someday, she won't have to go through this kind of hell. The yells of protesters, the cutting, shutting of others' religion shower down upon her. Maybe someday, she can grow up in a world where people actually trust her with her own vision for her body. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. I once was lost, but now am found.
Adjective. 1. The angular definition that a line goes from point A to point B to no hindrance or deviation en route. 2. Modern slang term for being heterosexual in regards to sexual orientation as opposed to being homosexual. For homosexual, see dyke, lesbian, gay, homo, queer, fairy, carbon muncher, abomination, bender, bugger, etc. Straight. Power. Secure in the knowledge that the gays don't deserve to get married. Being able to thrust your sexuality onto the mainstream public without anyone batting an eye. But as soon as a gay person is mentioned or portrayed, they are vilified immediately and even killed. The ability to say that the gays have an agenda that they are trying to push onto the younger generation when you're the ones constantly trying to make them straighter. Straight. Pride. You're safely able to say this because some dude thousands of years ago created a man and a woman to love each other. They don't deserve to marry the person that they love because they are unable to reproduce, while millions of children lay neglected in foster homes, while you sit in your high castles pretending that everything is all right with the world. Straight. Synonyms. Heterosexual, linear, right-wing, conservative, Christian Catholic, proud American.
An open letter to my baby brother. Dear Ahmed, I hope this letter finds you well. It's been bittersweet watching you grow into a wonderful little man. There are a few things I would like you to know in order to be successful in the world. 1. Be proud of who you are. There's no one else out there that's like you. 2. Wear your name with honor. Because contrary to popular belief, you weren't named after Ahmed, the dead terrorist. You were named after our grandfather who fought so bravely in Sudan's battle for independence. You're a warrior. 3. When someone asks you if you're related to Osama bin Laden, say yes, because we all trace back to Adam and Eve, don't we? 4. When you're approached by an officer, please cooperate. Yes, sir. No, sir. Of course, sir. Even if you haven't done anything wrong, because there's a 33% chance you won't come back home. And I want you to always be able to come back. 5. When your application is turned down because your name sounds too Arab or too black or too foreign, don't be disappointed. It's their loss. And when you find out that you're making 75 cents to every dollar that your white coworkers make, don't settle for that. You know your rights, so fight for them. 6. Dream. And dream big. 7. Education is key in this life. Knowledge is what will give you the power needed to break through the stereotypes. Go to school, teach yourself about the different cultures in the world. Be aware of your surroundings. Know your history, know where you came from. Be active and know what is happening in this world, in your world. 8. Don't stress mom and dad out too much because they've sacrificed so much to give us this life. So it's okay if you can't get that new Lego set that you want. And I'm frustrated that these are the things that I have to tell you, but our world is messed up and this is just the reality. Thank you for letting me do your makeup and nails. Thank you for being the best little big brother. I love you. I may not say it enough, but I do. Love, your big sis, Afna.
Elon Musk.
Malala. Zendaya. 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 We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. We the people. We the people. We are the people. We are the people. We are the people now who will change the world. I am from hairdressers bowing down in peaceful submission and several salam alaikum, peace be upon you. I am from melon skin holding both hands up in fearful defense and several don't shoot. My life matters. I am from 60 cents to every dollar in the same work, several nasty women. Female rights are human rights. I am from a complex background, one that brings to the knees and American cultures together, one that brings English and Arabic languages together, one that brings Islam and Western ideals together, one that allows an open mind and kind heart. I'm from struggle, perseverance, enslavement, and persecution without due process. I'm from both worlds of love and hate, of fear and acceptance, of anger and tolerance. I am from experiences tangled in one web to produce me. Whenever I travel, I always plan my travel outfit with care. Nothing too uncomfortable, but also nothing that makes me look like a mass murderer. So I end up choosing my Mickey Mouse dress because how could Disney ever imply that I'm suicidal? The moment I step foot into the airport, I'm bombarded by looks of suspicion. How could I be the one to bomb this place? I don't have anything on me. As I walk through the line to the TSA officer, he looks at me and very, very slowly says, "Take shoes off." "Okay," I replied. "Just assumed I cannot speak English. I can only speak Muslim or Islamic." You know, the TSA officers have been giving me a struggle lately. You know, they're women, only a few of them, you know, checking under my headscarf. You know, sometimes I wish Baltimore's face would just pop up and say hello. But the TSA officers aren't the only ones giving me a difficult time. The passengers too. They fear me having a bomb. Little old me with 5 feet old, 5 feet barely with the muscle mass of an ant. As if me having C4 explosives or an AK-47. I mean, I would have been nowhere to get those.
My grandmother travels between America and El Salvador, and usually she tells me I'll see you in 6 months. But when she left last November, she said, maybe I'll see you in 6 months. An undertone rose in the conversation. Fear of what has happened and what is to come from a nation that likes to keep itself isolated, and people like us that are right in between it. We complain about how other countries are doing things so wrong and bad when most people don't know there's a pipeline that cuts our state in half in the same way the bipartisan politics like to divide us. It's easier to make people fight than to unite us. But here we are, watching our kids learn their ABCs while kids in Flint, Michigan drink water that's poisoned, with politicians passing off the possibilities of predicaments that could have been prevented. People are not angry enough in this country. They just want to keep consuming. Oh, I'm sorry. You have cancer? You've been raped? Well, welcome to the American healthcare system, where we'll scrape every aspect of your life into a pre-existing condition so we can find any way not to pay for it. Welcome to America, where the presidential election is the election that the public pays attention to because it's like a drama, a reality show. Like the reality show host that our country voted for. Wow, I can't believe this is reality. We the people are now the people who changed the channel because we're uncomfortable with what's going on in Syria. We don't want to hear it. That America the Great can't be photoshopped into a perfect little bubble. We the people are now the people who freak out over the design of a Starbucks cup because we don't know what it's like to give everything up, taking things for granted. We the people are still racist. We the people still discriminate. We, the people, will slip under the surface to avoid all responsibility to humanity. But until we, the people, rise up and take a look at this mess and do something about it, then we, the people, will just be mindless, forever keeping ourselves blinded.
This is the American way. It's been almost 6 months, and I've been going numb slowly. I've been mostly ignoring all this rage in me, fluttering in my lungs like oil on the wings of a bird. People say we're all overreacting, and I let them believe it. All those pointed fingers and spit-angry men are sliding over my head and behind my ears, washing over me like I'm swallowing the ocean. 6 months. And I wonder how we let this happen.
When a desperate black mother spray paints on her garage door, "A disabled man lives here. He does not know what a gun is." She lives in fear for her son's life, knowing that a police officer will never ask anything politely. When a girl burns a flag, starting a match with a flick of her thumb, the last person she kissed calls her ungrateful, un-American. Her taste buds stink of gasoline. When we lower our flags to respect the troops who so bravely fought for our freedom, an amputee sits underneath one, clutching a McDonald's cup. His sign reads, "Veteran, anything helps." When our people are angry, our country begins to crumble. We do not love each other the way humans once did. Some say we are a nation of parasites crawling our way to greatness again. Some might say that greatness trickles down, or that greatness can be shot out of a cannon with fear and gaslights. This is the American way. My life has been a series of events, but I'm pretty young. Yes, I act like I'm a lot older, but I'm owning up to that, because I want responsibility. But the truth is, I'd rather be young and have responsibility. Let me explain it this way. I'm surrounded by serious business, you know? Global warming, wars, racism, Brexit, Trump, the media even. I was blissfully running through a field of roses when I hit a wall with the door in its middle. In big, bold letters, it said life, or as adults like to call it, the real world. I had to make a decision. Do I walk through to a new life, or do I blissfully ignore the serious world on the other side?
I'm not an activist. I know you've heard it all before, but I don't really care for politics. I care for people, and in today's world, politics and people are not the same thing. I can't keep up with all the headlines and the bureaucracy. I'm 19 years old. All I can keep track of is the toll it all seems to be taking, the hurt it is placing on people, on friends, and I hate that the government is a necessary tool to fight that. There are brilliant and efficient change makers, and without the pain of legislation and budgets, so much could be better. Did you know schools need money? Did you know schools don't really have that much money? When I traveled to the state capitol, a young, concerned, and well-meaning individual, my thoughts were only tolerated by the representatives that already agreed with me. But what good does that do? To care and to fight if no one's listening? I just don't have the energy. That sounds lazy, but let's review. I'm not an activist. I don't care for politics. I care for people. There are better things to do than to argue with people who won't change their minds.
Sometimes when someone has been wronged, it is not your job to fix it. It is your job to be there, just be there, and I hate that that sounds like it's not enough, because it is. People need people to fight for them, but God, people need people to listen to them and to love them too. That is a powerful tool. A human force untouched by the nastiness of the world because it is human and it is pure, it is love. And I could not imagine people running out of energy to love the way we run out of energy to fight. There is strength in the quiet, hand on hand, head on shoulder, heart on sleeve.
I struggle to care about politics. It's a blur of white men in neckties making decisions, making headlines. It seems 1,000 miles away from me, except that it's not, because it affects people right beside me. God, I do not have the stamina to be ignored, to fight, to have conversations with people who will not entertain a thought outside of their own mind. I do not have the strength for that, and I hate that that makes me weak. But people need other things. We need soldiers and nurses, and we need to tell those nurses that they are strong too. Because today, people and politics are not the same thing. We need to fight, but we need to love. And we need to place strength on the front of those strengths, because not everyone has the strength to be an activist.
We are the people. 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 We are the people.
This is your new demographic.
You know what makes me angry? The lack of understanding. We get so excited about what we think is right and just that we just forget that other people believe they're right and just too. I used to think that to make a change in this world, you had to get heated. You had to get so deeply passionate and riled up and just so sick of everything that has been thrown your way, and sometimes you do. But it's not the most important thing. Because we are a country of deeply passionate people. Talented people. People who with the properly allocated resources, could do just about anything. And no, I'm not exaggerating. Anything. We are a great nation, comprised of great parts just stuck in the wrong places, obviously. Our commitment to our cause, the grit under our fingernails, the fire in our hearts, it means something. But it is not the most important thing, because if it was, I believe we already knew where we're trying to go. We already have tremendous effort on that front. We are so damn strong and brilliant and tough. And I believe if all of that stuff mattered, we'd be where we're trying to go. But
we are still divided. I know people will be pulled in different directions. We have different hearts and different minds. We will not agree. But our conflicting passions do not make up our diversity. They do make up why we are divided, but they help us grow. When things get tough, we have to celebrate all that we can. We have to try to understand our sisters and brothers. We have to fight like hell and love each other just as fiercely. Our ideologies are not what keep us divided. Our opinions are not what make us great, sure. Our opinion does matter. But our fate is not wrapped up in our words and our anger and our heat. Our fate is wrapped up in our ability to band together, to change the world in numbers, to stand together, shoulder to shoulder, knee to knee, loving and growing and fighting and loving.
They want you kept quietly compressed, oppressed, suppressed, scared to take a breath and fill your lungs with life so that you can speak against them. They want you to give yourself to them, give up everything you can be, could be, would be, have been. Will yourself away into nothingness. Want you broken, bent, bruised blue, clinging to your knees, not raging like the seas on a stormy night. They want you down, ground into the ground, your firm bones a fine powder and your mind a thick soup for their supper. They want you gone to the summer breeze, subdued while they muse at the effects of their abuse. This nation is torn by the search for life, liberty, and the pursuit of homogeneity. It's what we were born to take, a seat in the back, my friend. You have always been a second-class citizen. A hoodie becomes another incriminating factor in the trial over your own death. Land which my people were forced to rape, which belonged to the free who called themselves brave. Where do I fit in? How do I weave the threads of my identity into a blanket that keeps me warm, even on the coldest of nights? I can pray for freedom, or I can be brave. These are the thoughts that course through my mind like water overwhelming a levee and filling my lungs. I find myself choking on the expectation, the desperation of a nation damned to see only what it wants to see. And just like they wanted, I have ceased.
There I was, 10 years old, sitting on a worn-out white couch in the living room, my nose buried in the 4th Harry Potter book. Harry had just escaped the giant maze, but now he had come face to face with Lord Voldemort himself in the graveyard. I could almost hear the wind howling and see the rows of rotting tombstones. The only world that I cared about was this world of fantasy. 6 years later, when I had the opportunity to create a Harry Potter-themed summer writing camp for 3rd through 6th graders, I was beyond ecstatic. On the first day of camp, one little boy showed up in his very own homemade Slytherin robes. It was great. We made wands, created our own magical creatures, and we wrote spells. When I introduced the spell writing activity, I asked the kids to pick a problem and write a spell that might solve that problem. Now, these were 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th graders, so I was expecting a whole slew of silly problems that an elementary school student might experience. I was sure that the kids would say, too much homework, annoying baby brothers, or an inability to obtain an endless supply of ice cream. I gave the kids some time to talk amongst themselves about what problems they would try to solve. When I asked them to share what they had decided, here is what I got. Rising sea levels, disease, sexism, racism, greenhouse gases, homelessness, pollution, hunger, global warming, nuclear warfare, oil spills, ableism, refugee displacement, greed, war, Donald Trump, and meanness. Needless to say, I was overwhelmed by these kids and their intelligence, awareness, and simply their regard for issues bigger than themselves. Unlike me at age 10, these kids care about their world and the injustice that so many who inhabit it face. Now, we can't fix these problems with magic spells like the kids in my camp did. However, the younger generations are here. We are conscious, we are listening, and we are ready to make some magic.
Yes. See this. See this.
The people now.
We are youth rising.
We are youth rising. We are the people raging like the seas on a stormy night. Our bones like fire. Our blood, the summer breeze of a new America. We take life and liberty back. My friend, you have always been one of the people, one of the many people who makes America great, brave, free. Like water, overwhelming levees, we rise. Like water, overwhelming levees, we rise. From sea to shining sea, oh beautiful for spacious skies.
We are youth rising.
And we will be the change.
We are youth rising.
We are youth rising.
And we will change the world.
Well, the announcement meant it was time to go home, then leave the Jacob Javits Convention Center, only about 2 miles where Donald Trump was holding his victory party. Clinton supporters had long faces and a lot to worry about as the results came in last night. Losing Florida was a major loss, even though they thought Miami-Dade and Broward County, the turnout there was impressive. It was not enough to change the vote count in the state of Florida, and as more vote tallies came in, Clinton supporters realized it was not going to be their night.
Pennsylvania voters just explain that over the fact that voters weren't ready for a woman yet.
You're awake, by the way. You're not having a terrible, terrible dream. Also, you're not dead and you haven't gone to hell. This is your life now. This is our election now. This is us. This is our country.
This is a different Earth today than it was 24 hours ago. It's a different place. It just is different.
They will never forget her story.
Hard to understand for the folks in that room. They're still trying to come to grips with the fact that Hillary Clinton has lost this election and Donald Trump is the president-elect.
Overwhelmingly here in